Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast, your home for all things Washington Commanders, who are now 3-4 on the season after that loss against the New York Giants, who were 1-5 at the time, and nobody thought we'd lose to. And guess what we did? We made the Giants look like Super Bowl contenders, as we tend to do. Mike, how are you, man?
I'm all right, man. I calmed down since the post game show. If y'all saw me on Sunday, I was kind of ticked off. You understand why, so don't hold it against me. But I'm chill. We're gonna talk some football tonight, so let's get it.
Yeah, man. Let me tell you something. You could not find a worse time to play the Philadelphia Eagles than right now because, number one, they just smoked the Miami Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. The Dolphins, who have been putting up 70 points and all this other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Eagles handled them no problem. On top of that, we just lost to a 1-5 team. Vegas has us as a 6.5 point favorite, has the Eagles as a 6.5 point favorite. And for Vegas to put you as a touchdown favorite, they think you're going to get your snot box rocked, right? Like they don't think this is going to be a good game at all. I think we are in for a lot of trouble on Sunday, and I'm a little afraid of what this can lead to in terms of the franchise and our stability in our current regime. But let's start from the top, man. What concerns you most about this matchup?
Coaching, it has to start there, and like I get it. It's easy to blame everything on Howell because he's a rookie quarterback. He had a horrible game versus the Giants on Sunday, um, but he's only been starting for a year. The same stuff that's been happening this season has been happening in the previous 3 seasons too. So it can't all be on Howell. There's two coaches that's been here the entire time, Rivera and Del Rio. Where have we been struggling a lot this season? On defense. What's their expertise? Defense. So if our best coaches can't even do the thing that they're best known at, how can I trust them to go to host a Philly team that they lost to already and expect them to do anything? I don't. Like it could get ugly. The coaching advantage is that bad in this Philly versus Washington rivalry. And I know somebody's going to say, look, I know somebody's going to say, we beat them last year on Monday Night Football. Yeah, we did. And what did we do after that? What did they do after that? They went to the Super Bowl. We didn't even make the playoffs.
You know what? I'm gonna take it one step further with the coaching. Del Rio and Rivera were both linebackers, were they not? And we can't find a linebacker to save our life. Eric Bieniemy was what? A running back. We don't run the football. I don't know why these coaches just hate the position that they played, but it doesn't make sense to me. Now, for everybody who's like, to your point about the Monday Night Football last year, totally different circumstances. The Eagles were undefeated. You know how it is with the pressure of remaining undefeated. Sometimes it gets the better of you. It was a Thursday night football game, right? Or was it Monday Night Football? Do you remember?
Right?
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Nonetheless, it's a different circumstance. And I think this year's Eagles team is actually better than the team that went to the Super Bowl last year because they can beat you in a multitude of ways. Where last year it was like, hey, run game, run game, run game. They can beat you with the pass. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are locked in. Devontae Smith over the top, it will kill you. And then you have DeAndre Swift to add to that mix. That dude is a beast. We know because we played him in Detroit last year when he ran wild on us, right?
Yeah.
And then you also have their other running back, Greenfield, whatever his name is, number 14.
Kenneth Gainwell.
He's not a big name. You don't expect much from him, but he always is effective. They have so many ways to beat you as a football team. It's a shame. And that's what makes me the most nervous going into this matchup. Who are you more concerned with, Jalen Hurts or DeAndre Swift or A.J. Brown?
Obviously, it's A.J. Brown, hands down. You take him off of that Eagles team, and that offense becomes incredibly less potent. He's the key because a lot of the stuff that Hurts gets, like passes and whatnot, it's mainly because AJ Brown is just that physically imposing. It happened in our first matchup. Happened a couple of times Sunday. I think he's on a 10-game streak of 100 yards or something crazy like that. Maybe it's just for this season. I don't know. But for sure, don't get me wrong. DeAndre Smith does his thing. And I like Jalen Hurts. I take the Bama here in D.C. I like him as a player and a person. But his weakness is what you're supposed to do at the position, throwing the ball. That's Hurts' weakness. And this is what, third season now or fourth season now? Like, it's not getting any better, to be honest with you. Now, of course, his stats are going to look nice, but that's because they get a lot of chunk plays in their passing game. So if you can find a way to limit A.J. Brown on Sunday and increase his Washington chances of at least holding Philly to a lower amount of points. But I'm going to ask you this real quick. What could our offense possibly do against this Philly defense? Like, they already are who they are. And I know they've been struggling in the passing game, but they just added freaking Kevin Byrd from the Titans in the trade. Like, how does that defense continue to get better season after season? And Washington can't even solve the linebacker position.
Right. Well, I mean, to answer your question, I don't know, because you're right. The passing game is where they struggle, but pass rush is what they're great at. And so what are we weak at? Pass protection, right? And that's in all phases of pass protection. Our line sucks. Our backs don't really help in the pass protection game. Our quarterback doesn't identify blitzes when they're coming. We are failures in pass protection as a complete battery. And so when you have Jalen Carter and you have the other rushers that the Eagles have on that defensive line, I think they have 5 first-round picks on their D-line, something like that play in their rotation. When you have that kind of quality at that position, and there's such a weakness of ours that's on film, every team sees it. They're watching that game last week by the Giants and licking their lips, right? They're like, hey, this is what we can do. The Giants put 10 people in the box. They weren't even concerned what was going to happen if they didn't get home, because they knew they were going to get home. The Eagles can do what the Giants did with less rushers. That's the problem, right? And so if I'm Eric Bieniemy, the only way I'm trying to solve this problem is I'm including Howell in the run game more. You have to attack it, right?
I mean, he already getting hit. You might as well.
You know what I'm saying? Design runs, play action, RPO, all that stuff. We're not doing it this year. Do that. You already talked about the screen game on a post game and all the other things, all the other shows we do, right? Screen game, put Sam Howell as a part of the run game intentionally, not just scrambles, things like that. Intentional quarterback design runs. Like you said, he's getting blown up anyway in the pocket. What does it matter? But give them something that they can't handle, because we can't go back to, hey, we're just going to figure it out from the pocket. We're going to drop back. We're going to miss our blocks. We're not going to see the blitz coming, and we're going to hope for the best. And we're going to throw it down the field and pray. Sunday, not to stay with the Giants game, but I'm making a point for this Eagles game. There was 1 interception. It could have been 5. If you go back and watch that game, it could have been 5. And we got to stop living on a wing and a prayer from the pocket. Eric Bieniemy has to take control and design an offense that will compete at an NFL level against teams that can pass rush. When our schedule came out, this was the big concern I had with the schedules. Every team on this schedule can rush the passer. And even the teams that can effectively rush the passer have been able to effectively rush the passer against us, because they know we can't block. If they bring 5, we can't block it. If they bring 6, we definitely can't block it. Even when last game, we had 7 people in. I put the stills out on social media. 7 people in. They're rushing 5, getting home. Our back is double teaming the right defensive end, and there's a linebacker coming right up the middle. There is a breakdown in communication at the line of scrimmage, and I don't know whose fault that is. I'm not here to point fingers, but it's a problem. It has to be fixed against the Philadelphia Eagles, or it won't matter what Eric Bieniemy does because this offense will not function whatsoever. Whatsoever. Run the football.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, man, because you expect, like, of course you don't expect the Chiefs defense, the Chiefs offense without Patrick Mahomes, and honestly without Andy Reid. Like, I knew it was going to be a different offense, but the fact that he's doing exactly what Scott Turner did when he was here. He doesn't have a feel for the game or a feel for play calling. It's the same exact thing that Scott Turner struggled with. There's no reason to be throwing the ball as much as we're throwing it this season with a second-year quarterback that was drafted in the 5th round. It's not like Robinson, Gibson, and Rodriguez have been horrible running the ball. I still think Washington is top 10 in yards per carry this season. Even if you take away Howell runs, it doesn't drop too much below 4 yards per carry. So I don't know, Ellie. Like I don't know. And then switching the topic a little bit, but still sticking on offense.
Wait. Before you go there, let me ask you this real quick because you brought it up. Honestly, what do you think it is that is preventing Bieniemy from running the football? Like I need an answer, and I'm not getting it from the media, from Bieniemy. Legitimately, Mike, what do you think it is that is preventing him from running the football?
Bruh, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you would think a former running back, like you said earlier, would know the importance of running the ball, especially with a young quarterback. The only thing I can think is that he wants to show off his passing plays to everybody, I guess. But he said this. I'm not making it up. I'm not putting words in his mouth. He said this. If we have to run 100 times to win or throw 100 times to win, we're going to do whatever it takes to win. I ain't trying to call the man a liar, but the stats are the stats. The numbers are the numbers. You are not running the ball. You're leading the league in passing attempts with Sam Howell. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing?
It's almost like Bieniemy didn't read Howell's scouting report coming out of college, right? Like, and says, look, don't keep him in the pocket. Don't keep him in the pocket. He runs himself into sacks. He's not great like that. He can get stuck on his first read, yada, yada, yada. There are ways to, and you look, I say it every week. I am not the biggest Sam Howell supporter. I believe in first round quarterbacks are the way to win big in this league. But Bieniemy could be doing so much more for Sam Howell for us to figure out whether or not he can or cannot be the guy. And I'm afraid we're going to get to the end of the season with an incomplete grade on this because of the amount of sacks that are going on. Now, I want to get back to your point too, but let me say this. Like, it's not that like this should be foreign to anybody with Bieniemy not running the ball. Because if you remember OTAs, if you remember minicamp,
they wasn't practicing.
They didn't even practice it, and everybody just assumed they were waiting for them to get pads on.
Yeah.
Bieniemy was showing his hand. He's like, I got no interest in this short yardage, ground and pound stuff. They did not even practice the run game right now. And again, another truth in my perspective is that Brian Robinson is not really a feature back that you want to have in the NFL because I think there's a lot of other options and it's a pretty easy upgrade at a pretty reasonable price because you don't get any chunk plays in the run game. But my God, dude, you don't practice the run game. Then you don't even try to run the ball in the regular season. Why didn't Ron Rivera say, excuse me, it's July and we still haven't practiced running the football? Is there a problem here? Right? I don't understand. This Bieniemy offense coming from Kansas City. And all Bieniemy, this was a layup for Bieniemy coming here, right? Just look competent. Just look competent compared to Scott Turner last year, and you're going to get yourself a head coaching job. Probably this head coaching job, right? But so
Yeah,
far, you haven't
right.
shown you can protect the quarterback. You haven't shown that you can scheme a game plan. Your first 15 scripted plays are trash. Last week, we got like 0 yards on the first 15 plays. Those are the scripted plays that you know you're going to call. It's not working in any facet. And now Bieniemy's career as a coach could be over with if it doesn't work out here. And I'm sorry, I know I'm ranting, but I didn't get to do post game. But here's what I'm gonna say. This is why in our text thread I say, don't count out Brissett, because Bieniemy needs a fall guy too to continue his coaching career, right? I mean, real is real. And so who's he gonna put that on? And then when like remember what Scott Turner did, right? When Wentz was in the game, we didn't run the ball that much. Heineke came in the game. What did we do? Completely changed our philosophy. I don't know why people put that past this coaching staff. We saw it last year, right? So it could happen again. Now, Bieniemy's a different dude, but look, something that I'm seeing on the field just doesn't make me feel like they believe in Sam Howell, because if you did, you would be doing more to protect him. Or your scheme just sucks and your blocking scheme sucks. But then you should be trying to make adjustments on the offensive line. And then Ron Rivera said this week, I'm happy with what he's trying to do. I'm done. What do you mean you're happy with what Eric Bieniemy's trying to do offensively with the 5th round pick in his 8th start, throwing the ball 48 times a game? I'm sorry, Mike. I'm done.
No, it's cool. It's cool. But what I was going to say earlier, imagine how different things would be if Dotson caught the 3 drops that he dropped so far this season, the 3 big drops that he dropped. I'm talking the 3rd down against Philly in week 4, the game last week against the Atlanta where he dropped the post route, and the game with the Giants when he dropped the 4th down play. And I get it. The Giants catch was probably the hardest of the 3. But if the ball hits your hand as a receiver, you got to catch it, especially somebody like Jahan Dotson. And I honestly can say him and Bieniemy, I'm like extremely disappointed in, because I thought those two were going to have a nice season. And
Yeah.
I don't think things could get any worse for either. Like both of those two, if they start to meet our expectations a bit more, it'll get an offense a tremendous boost. But if Bieniemy isn't calling plays the way he needs to call them, aka running the ball a little bit more, and if Dotson's going to keep dropping important passes, we're going to stay 30th in offense or wherever we are right now.
20 points per game. We are 1 point per game away from the Scott Turner offense basically right now. And that's craziness. Now, all right, we get a little sidetracked here, but, so offensively for the Eagles, my game plan would be run the football. However you got RPO and then bacon screens. I wouldn't even look at going down the field yet, right? And I know they have a poor secondary, but just attack short. Make your play action believable and then hit him over the head with a couple deep shots. But possess the ball, move the ball down the field methodically, get some screens in. What would your game plan be offensively?
Yeah, similar. And you're talking about our offense versus their defense. So, yeah, running the ball, like I said, is extremely important. Moving the pocket. Like, I saw them run a couple of, not only just bootlegs, but a couple of waggles too, like half a bootleg. So, the plays are there, but it just seems like they're not calling them right or whatever. But yeah, I would move the pocket, run the ball, hit them with the quick passes, like you said. But honestly, we could say all this until they do it. Like we're gonna say the same thing next week when we play the Patriots. Oh, how we gonna attack the Patriots offense? Quick game, running game. After we just came off of after whatever happened Sunday, like we probably gonna throw 50 passes versus Philly, and still gonna come back the next week like, yeah, we gotta run the ball more. Because
like it's gonna happen or something.
Like that's just
Man.
But yeah, that's what I would do. I would try to get the ball out as quick as possible. Pound these men, pound them. Like, just keep running it. Like, it'll help the defense too. Because let's be honest, the reason they probably been struggling so much is because the offense hasn't been holding the ball long enough, and they're just tired. Like,
Exactly
that's
right.
probably the main reason. They just tired.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And look, physically speaking, there is science behind how many hits you can take before your injury susceptibility goes through the roof. Sam Howell is getting very close to that number. And he's been very lucky so far. At some point, a major injury comes from all those hits that he's taking. We this coaching staff has to care about their quarterback and do something. Move the pocket, like you said, not just in the red zone where you run that stupid little bootleg right and cut the
Sprint,
field in half,
yeah.
and then try to whatever, but do it for real. I think Eric Bieniemy is creative enough offensively to come up with something. I just don't know why he hasn't or why he won't. But we're not going to get those answers.
It has to be that the team isn't fully grasping the system, and he has to dial it back or make it vanilla so they're able to digest the scheme or something. Because outside of that, like, we put up 30 against the Broncos, put up 30 against the Eagles, or 28 against the Eagles or something like that. But you put up 7 versus the Giants and 3 versus Buffalo,
and 20 versus the Bears. Like,
I kind of like that Bears game. I just throw that whole game away. I don't even talk about it. Like, because I feel like it was much more than coaching. Like, I think they just literally wasn't ready, and they took the Bears for granted. So I don't even think they gave their best effort. I feel like with the Giants, they gave their best effort. It's just that the coaching let them down, and both offensively and defensively. I know the Giants only scored 14 points. But let's be honest, the way they got both of those touchdowns is kind of ridiculous for the defense, don't you think?
That's true, but so was our touchdown on that muff punt, right?
Yeah.
On the short field. So
Yeah.
think about this, man. If we didn't get that muff punt, we probably don't score Sunday.
Right. And that's crazy. And like, it's a copycat league. So I know Philly's going to blitz the hell out of us on Sunday. Why wouldn't you? When they show they haven't stopped it, if you're a defensive coordinator, look, you know what? I'm gonna take all this back. What coordinator wouldn't blitz us if we played their defense?
Jack Del Rio.
Jack Del Rio. He will not blitz this offensive line, and Sam Howell will light that secondary up because he's not getting blitzed. But keeping it on the offensive side, like, yeah, just do your job. Like, I know he's posted that on the wall or whatever, but it kind of is that simple at the end of the day. Like, literally, offensive line, make sure the protections are good. Like, we really need to know who's calling the protections, if it's Howell or Gates, because one of the, like, I hope they didn't leave it to Howell in his first season as a quarterback. And I don't think he really did that at North Carolina too much. I hope Gates, the veteran, is capable of doing it, but whoever's doing it, they gotta spend more time in that field room or something, because this is not it. Because when Sam Howell actually gets space to throw the ball, more often than not, that thing gonna be on the money.
That's true.
Like, when he has the space, when he has the time, like, the passes get there. Like, it even happened in the Giants game. I saw the pass to McLaurin on the play we thought was a touchdown. That was a nice pass. But what good is it if you're going to get hit 100 times a season?
Right.
Like, come on, man.
And I think the Giants game was the first game I saw evidence that those hits are mentally taking a toll on him.
Yeah. I said it in the first quarter that he was shell-shocked.
Yep.
It's obvious now that man is shell-shocked. I don't think it's a coincidence that Sunday was his worst game. I
And
think he's
remember,
feeling the effects of it now.
yeah, and he's starting to
And,
anticipate the rush, right?
and
And remember what happened when we played Carson Wentz, 8 sacks. What happened? Carson Wentz has never been the same since. He's never been the
yeah,
same since.
I remember that. That was week 1, 2020.
Exactly right. And so you don't want that to happen to Sam Howell. And it looks like it's starting to, and that's making me a little nervous here. Um, One thing to the other point, like you don't see anything pre-snap from this offense. And I brought this up in our text thread, but for the listeners and viewers, do you see anybody identifying the mic? Do you see anybody changing the play at the line of scrimmage? We don't do any of that. So when Sam Howell's back there and they're pressing 6 at the line, we don't switch to a run play up the middle or something like that. Like that to me is also problematic in this offense. And if they don't have confidence that Howell can do that, I'm not saying they don't, but I don't understand why he's not. And if they haven't given him that freedom, then he shouldn't be out there because he's a sitting duck. And you need to be able to audible to keep himself safe, right? And to keep the offense moving forward. If Bieniemy's the Matt Canada type of coach who's like, you're only going to run the play I called and that's it, Bieniemy shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that in today's NFL. Every team goes to the line with 2 plays called, right? And then you audible to the second. We're not doing any of that. We're just going up to the line of scrimmage with 7 seconds left on the play clock, and then we're trying to call our play. What's happening? We need work at the line of scrimmage.
I honestly don't get it. Is it something else you wanted to say more about our defense versus Philly's offense?
Yeah, our defense. Look, I think Forbes needs to play because if Forbes doesn't play,
No, not this week.
no,
Keep
he
him
does.
on the
Listen to
bench
me.
this week.
Listen to me.
Look,
No. Listen why.
against any other team, maybe, but nah, keep him away from Philly. I
Because
ain't even gonna hold
what
you, bro.
happened to Benjamin St. Juice when he was against Jalen Hyatt last week?
Oh yeah, he did get toasted.
He got toasted, right? Fuller's not that fast, right? They're good
He's
coverage
not.
guys, but they're not that fast. Devontae Smith is going to have a field day like he did last year or whatever we played them. If you don't bring in Emmanuel Forbes to compete with him, I think you have to put Forbes in this game on Devontae Smith. And then on AJ Brown, you have to go St. Juice because of the size factor, right? And then Fuller, on whoever else is out there. I like Fuller a lot. I think Fuller's having a really good season. I just think this matchup is not the best for him, in my opinion. So I want to see Forbes back on the field. And Mike, also defensively, if we're 3-4 and we kind of know that the season's not going the way we want, why are you not playing your rookie to get him experience, right? Remember, we did this to Jamin Davis, and I think we set his growth back a lot by not playing him his rookie year as much as we needed to. Ron Rivera's being too conservative. Take the kid gloves off. He can play or he can't, right? You gotta let him. You gotta let him figure out if he can play in this league. Forbes, same thing. Get him some snaps. He's got to play. There's no daycare program for cornerbacks in the NFL because you're gonna have to figure out if you need to address the position all over again next year, and we're not learning that lesson. He needs to be on the field against Devontae Smith and sink or swim, bro. Like his speed is a game changer for us. He needs to be out there.
When you said something about Fuller, it made me think, why isn't he at safety yet? I get he's a good corner. He's having a good season right now, too. But in Kansas City, they played him in safety a lot.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting his pick in the Super Bowl from the safety spot, I believe. I like that, and that's like going back to coaching, and that's what I'm saying. I don't trust Del Rio versus this offense. I feel like no matter what, AJ Brown's going to get his 1-on-1. And at this point, I don't know, maybe you run cover 2 for most of the game to try to well, not cover 2, the 2-man under. Like 2 high safety is what I'm saying, not cover 2. Like, I feel like man defense may be the best way to slow down Philly. But you got to keep 2 eyes on A.J. Brown, and you can't let Devontae Smith go over the top. So you're probably right. Like, it might sound crazy, but this may be a week where, schematically speaking, it may be a good idea to leave Forbes on the island with Smith.
Yeah.
As unbelievable as it sounds, that may be the defense's best hope to try to lock down Philly's offense, because I feel like if you take away Brown and Smith and force Hurts to keep throwing it underneath the Goddard, it'll, like I said, it'll severely impact Philly's offense because of the big plays. That's how they beat us in the first game. They got a ton of big plays against Washington, a ton of it. So if they could find a way to limit plays on Philly, big explosive plays from Philly, it'll give Washington a better chance for real. I really believe it.
And you said it yourself, man. I mean, Hurts is not having the best year throwing the football this year.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm looking up some information of him versus zone versus man, because the problem with man coverage is that you have your back to Hurts, right? And so that creates running lanes that he's going to take advantage of. And I get concerned about that. Let me see if I can find some passing. If I can dig up some passing information, I will for you. But I'm trying to see if he's better versus zone versus man. But I think with the way that he's passing this year, you have to play zone and just wait for your opportunities, because he's going to give you something this year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I just get so scared with leaving AJ Brown. Like, I don't know. It's tricky. I'm just glad I really don't have to try to figure this out, because like there's no reason that these Bama's, talking about the Eagles, are 19 and, well, including the playoffs, 21 and 21 and 3 or 21 and 4 the last 25 games, or 25 and 5 including the Super Bowl. So like I don't know. Like it could get ugly. If this was a road game, Philly might be favored by 10.
They will win by 10 if we're not careful, like easily. And I think Jalen Hurts performs much worse against zone defenses too. So I think I would definitely look at something like that. If this gets ugly, what do you think happens? Do you think anything happens with the Rivera situation, or any position or anything like that? Or do you think it's just
they're gonna ride this ship as long as they can. It's gonna cost the fans to like go crazy. But at the end of the day, there's really no realistic option out of this. You're just going to have to suffer 11 more weeks with Rivera. Who's going to take his spot? Bieniemy has never been a head coach, and I doubt if he wanted to become an intern, because interns very rarely get head coaching jobs.
Right.
Are you going to fire Rivera and promote Del Rio when the defense is playing the way it's been playing? Not only this year, but honestly, all 4 seasons. Incredibly inconsistent. So, short of us losing like 73-3 or something like that, like if they keep it respectable, like if Philly don't drop a 50 burger on us and we score like 10 points, like it'll probably, but like I said, if they fire him, who going to take his spot?
Yeah,
Juan Castillo. Like who going to take his spot? Like like who going to take his? They got what's his name? Tabita, the quarterbacks coach. Just give it to the young man and let him figure it out on his own.
See what happens. I think one thing that we could see is more of Chris Rodriguez, and I think we will see
hopefully
more of Chris Rodriguez as a primary back option, just to see what he can do. I don't think he's super explosive or phenomenal, but he goes straight, and he does it with reckless abandon. He's really like I don't want to say he's Pacheco-like, because Pacheco is much quicker and faster, but at least he goes straight ahead. When you watch Brian Robinson, you watch Gibson, these guys are chopping their feet in the backfield. They're running into the back of their linemen. Chris Rodriguez is no wasted motion. It's just, I'm going to go forward as fast as I can until somebody hits me, and then I'm going to go down a little while later. I'm not going to be chopping and juking and all this stuff in the backfield. I'm taking the hole. I'm going. Stop me if you can. I want to see what that looks like in this offense for a coordinator that's committed to running the football. All right. Tell me what the streets are saying about this game, Mike.
What you say? We're back here again. Like we there is the trance. Everybody is in a trance right now. Like they just can't believe it. I talked to a couple of people and they're like, I understand losing to the Bears, but how we lose to the Giants, Mike? I don't know. I honestly don't know, but we all had that eerie feeling about that game. Not only because we're who we are, the Commanders, but the Giants had our number the last couple of seasons. I think I saw a stat that they're 2-0-1 versus Washington in their last 17 games. They're 2-0-1 versus Washington. They're 2-15 in their I'm sorry, they're 2-13 in their or 14 in their other whatever games. Well, 2-12. I'm sorry, there it is. They're 2-12 in the other 14 games. 2-0-1 versus Washington. Like, come on now. Like, I have no hope for this coaching staff. You just gotta wait it out these 11 weeks, and hopefully we'll be free. Because I went into the season thinking this: either we were going to have a heck of a season and Rivera's going to stay back, or we want to have a trash season and it's over. And so far, after 7 weeks, it's looking like the latter for sure. He's out of here, bro. Like I don't see the chances of him surviving are at less than 10% now. That's how bad it's got. I probably had it at like 70% before the season. We're at 10%, bro. He is not coming back here next season.
It's hard to argue that. I mean, and look, man, after this Eagles game, we got the Patriots, who have a very good defense. They held Buffalo to next to nothing point-wise. The Seahawks, who are 4-2. Our nemesis, the Giants, again. And then, Mike, we haven't even played the Cowboys in their pass rush yet. We got them after the Giants. We got the Dolphins and then the Rams, who are having a good season, and the Jets pass rush. Then we played the 49ers immediately after we played the Jets, and then we played the Cowboys pass rush. There is a literal annihilation coming if we can't figure out this pass protection situation, like for real. All right. Thank you for what this Treacher's saying. I'm going to do, Eric's not here. So in his honor, I'm going to give you 3 ways we win and 3 ways we lose. And you guys know Eric is a pessimist. So we'll start with 3 ways we lose. If we throw the ball 40 plus times, we are not winning this game against the Eagles. We cannot afford to do that. They will create too many sacks, too many turnovers. Howell may get carried off on a stretcher if we throw the ball 40 times. If we get behind the chains, we are killing ourselves with penalties, intentional groundings, holdings, false starts, things like that are making, like, 1st and 15, 1st and 20, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20. You cannot win in the football like that. Or in the NFL like that. I don't care who you are. And Eric's final way we lose is we put our defensive backs on an island. I think we're going to have to, by the way, in some instances, but we need safety help. Last week, there was no safety help on a bunch of those deep passes by the Giants. Jack Del Rio's got to figure that out. How do we win this game, per Eric? Control the time of possession. We need to go old school Scott Turner, ground and pound with the football. Keep them out of short yardage situations. You know what time it is when the Eagles get in short yardage situations. The brotherly shove is coming out. It is unstoppable. We got to keep them out of that and create turnovers. Jalen Hurts is giving you the football. He fumbled twice last game and he threw a pick or 2. Every game he plays in, he is going to turn the ball over this year. He's not having a phenomenal season. He's having a good season. We got to get the ball back to our team. That's 3 ways we win, and that's 3 ways we lose. And I'm actually just going to jump right into Brian's what's bothering Brian piece. Brian's on the road again. Shout out to Brian. He'll be back shortly. But Brian says the status quo would bother him. 45 pass attempts and no run game. Stubbornness is the path to defeat. Coaches need to change the plan. Their plan has not been working. They can't expect to keep doing the same thing and expect different results. That would bother Brian if they don't take that advice and do something different. I'm with you. Thank you, Eric and Brian. All right. Fantasy options. Anybody on the Eagles? who not to play? Anybody on the Commanders. Just leave them on the bench
Anybody.
this week. No, seriously. I think if Logan Thomas plays, he could have a decent game. Curtis Samuel is always an option. He's a 10-point guy. He's going to find a way to do something effective there. And I think this game, Eric Bieniemy wakes up, and you're going to hear it here first. Antonio Gibson scores a touchdown this week. He's not going to get you 50 points, but he might get you 13. So those are your players. If you want specifics on the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Smith, and Brown. All of them are great starts this week. Just do it, baby. All right. Mike, score predictions. What do you think the score in the outcome of this game is?
My goodness. I haven't even been thinking about this, bro. Give me Philly 33, Washington 16. Or 17, Washington 17.
Okay. 33-17. And now, is that a respectable loss for you if it happens that way, or is this is ugly right now?
It depends. Like, if it's one of those games where, sort of like the first game, where we're hanging with them and they kind of just take off in the fourth quarter, like if it's 13-20 entering the fourth quarter and they score a touchdown and 2 field goals and we just kick a field goal, then I'll be like, all right, that's cool. But if they jump out on us like 28-0 and then we start chipping away, I can't accept that. But we both know that's going to happen. We both know that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to go up 21-0. We're going to like score a touchdown before halftime. And then they're going to come out in the third quarter because we got the ball first and went 3 and out. And then they're going to make it 28-7. And then it's curtains after that. And I'm not trying to be negative, y'all. Like, I'm really not. But we've been watching this same stuff since 2020. Like, I really like and love Rivera. But the difference between him and Jay Gruden is very minimal. The only difference is that Rivera might got a better control over the locker room. But the defense is just as trash as it's been when Jay Gruden was here. And to be honest with you, the offense is nowhere near as good as Jay Gruden's offense the last 4 seasons. Like, one last thing. Rivera's biggest mistake when he came to Washington, and I think I said this on here before. I know I said it on Eddie and Mike. His biggest mistake was letting Kevin O'Connell walk. He should not have left Washington in 2020. Scott Turner should have came here as like some offensive assistant or something, and Kevin O'Connell should have been able to stay here and keep working with Haskins, because that's the only time Haskins had any success in this league was when Kevin O'Connell was his coach. I feel like if you were going to start Haskins, you should have kept Kevin O'Connell for at least 1 season.
Mm-hmm.
But you hire Scott Turner, 3 years here. That man ain't do jack. So, yeah.
Yep. And we had somebody on this podcast who told us that story. I can't remember who it was. It was either a beat reporter or maybe Michael Phillips from the Richmond Times-Dispatch, one of those guys. We got a lot of friends in the media, and they said Kevin O'Connell wanted to build his own offensive staff, and Ron Rivera said no. That's how we ended up with Scott Turner, because Kevin O'Connell wanted to pick his own assistant coaches, and Rivera did not want to let him do it.
Like, you had the hottest, arguably the second or third hottest offensive coordinator on your staff when you walked through the door. You had Trent Williams, Brandon Sheriff, Morgan Moses. Your offense was set.
Yep.
And you destroyed it.
Yeah, because you ain't want to let him pick his own coach. Like, why would you care who he picks for his assistant coaches anyway? I don't know. But I'm gonna say I agree with your point, but I'm gonna back it up about 1,000 feet. It wasn't O'Connell specifically that was his biggest mistake. It's that he didn't hire young, innovative coaches, period, when he got here. Whether it was like somebody like a Shane Waldron or something like that, right? Any young offensive coordinator with a mind for the future of football and not someone who's so dedicated to the history of football, I think would have been a better choice. Now, Scott Turner, you could argue, was a young mind, but the Panthers offense wasn't really booming anyway, right? When they brought him over here. So you kind of get what you had. You got what you had. Defensively, Jack Del Rio has been relatively consistent, top 10 to 15 defense. I still think philosophically there's some things that we could do differently with the talent that we have. And I think you could also make an argument that we've underperformed for the talent that we have on the defensive line since Del Rio's been here. So my prediction for this game, I think that the Eagles have hit a stride, and I know they lost recently to the Jets, but I just think organizationally they've hit a stride that we just are not going to be able to match. We're not there. Our seasons are going in opposite directions. I think we've lost 4 or 5 or something like that, right? I think the Eagles are going to show us how much of a better franchise they are than us this week. And I hate to say that, it pains me to say it, but I got the Eagles 42 and the Commanders 11 based on what we've seen recently. I think the Eagles, just like last year, what happened? We beat them that one time, and then what happened the second time we played them, right? Different ball game, right? We
it
came
was the
close.
opposite. They beat us, and then we beat them.
Either way, they're not letting 2 get by them. That's how I'm trying to say. Like, so we came close this year. Earlier, they're gonna come with and put the
I
beat
get
down
what
there.
you're saying.
And I think it's going to really start some things in this organization. And it really bothers me, Mike, that every season we seem to end up in the same place in November, spiraling out of control. And then you got your little mini runs or whatever to the playoffs that don't work, and you're going to lose
I
in the
ain't
first
falling
round,
for it
or
this season.
you're not going for it, right?
I ain't falling for it.
No, like
We
don't
beat
even do it.
We beat the Eagles. My face gonna be like.
Well, and first of all, we're not getting off one of those runs. If you look at the second half of our schedule this season, it's not happening anyway, right?
Nah.
But it just sucks that here we are again as a franchise in November. Not even November, we're in October talking about, the misery that could be around the corner. So we got a lot of work to do as an organization. And my only hope for this game is that maybe the offense is getting used to Bieniemy's playbook and his call style and everything else now, and maybe we'll see something click. But I got my doubts, and I have reasons to have those doubts. So We'll see, man. Hey, Mike, any final thoughts on this Eagles Commanders matchup?
No final thoughts from me. I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody in the comments, especially Dennis and Lucrative 6477. We had a good debate in the comment section about team construction and player value. It was a really nice discussion in the comments, and keep them coming, y'all. Like I'm not the one to run away from comments. If I see some comments and the talk look good, I'm gonna jump right in with y'all. Like, so keep them coming, man. It's nothing for real. And go Commanders, I guess.
And I try to do what I can in the comments. I get busy sometimes with all the stuff I got going on, but keep Mike's 100% correct. Keep hitting those comments up. We see them, we read them, we share them in the group, all that stuff. And we love when you guys give us feedback and give us your thoughts. And we're gonna keep on coming with the content, even if your favorite team ain't bringing it. We're still gonna be here. And look, we all hope for the best for this franchise. Don't take this little, gray cloud we got hanging over us as if we don't want what's best for the franchise long term. We just kind of understand where we are in relation to that long-term vision. And we got to talk about it because that's what we are as a podcast, right? We're going to speak the truth. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you're locked in. Subscribe on all platforms, audio, video, YouTube, anything like that. Tell your friends to tell a friend about the podcast too. And shout out to Eddie. That's my dude. Shout out to Eddie from the Eddie and Mike podcast. Go check out the Eddie and Mike podcast on all platforms, right? Make sure you subscribe, run their numbers up, give the fellas some love there. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Commanders Declassified. We are out of here. Let's go take these Eagles down. Please, please, please.